Okay, today is the 4th of September and we are on the Anapana-samyutta, the 54th chapter of the Samyutta Nikaya. Now we come to 54.8. The Buddha said, monks, concentration by mindfulness of breathing or recollection of breathing, when developed and cultivated, is of great fruit and benefit. And how monks is concentration by mindfulness of breathing developed and cultivated so that it is of great fruit and benefit. Here monks, a monk having gone to the forest, to the foot of a tree, to an empty hut, sits down, having folded his legs crosswise, straightened his body, and set up mindfulness in front of him. Just mindful, he breathes in, mindful, he breathes out. And then the series of exercises in contemplation of the breath as before follows until he trains thus contemplating relinquishment, I will breathe in. He trains thus contemplating relinquishment, I will breathe out. It is in this way, monks, that concentration by mindfulness of breathing is developed and cultivated so that it is of great fruit and benefit. I too, monks, before my enlightenment, while I was still a bodhisattva, not yet fully enlightened, generally dwelt in this dwelling. While I generally dwelt in this dwelling, neither my body nor my eyes became fatigued, and my mind, by not clinging, was liberated from the asavas. I'll stop here for a moment. So here you see, the Buddha says, I too, monks, before my enlightenment, while I was still a bodhisattva, not yet fully enlightened, generally dwelt in this dwelling. So the Buddha's meditation is Anapana-sati. It's very clear from the sutta. Before his enlightenment, he practiced, that was his main object of meditation, mindfulness of the breath. And some other sutta, the Buddha says that even after enlightenment also, he generally dwells in the Anapana-sati, mindfulness of the breath. So, but nowadays people say, there are some Vipassana monks say that the Buddha's meditation is Vipassana meditation. But Vipassana meditation was only created in this century, was not around during the Buddha's time. Vipassana meditation grew out of the commentaries and books like the Visuddhimagga. So, for several hundred years after the Buddha passing away. Therefore, monks, if a monk wishes, may neither my body nor my eyes become fatigued, and may my mind, by not clinging, be liberated from the asavas. The same concentration by mindfulness of breathing should be closely attended to. Therefore, monks, if a monk wishes, may the memories and intentions connected with the household life be abandoned by me. The same concentration by mindfulness of breathing should be closely attended to. Therefore, monks, if a monk wishes, may I dwell perceiving the repulsive in the unrepulsive. The same concentration by mindfulness of breathing should be closely attended to. If a monk wishes, may I dwell perceiving the unrepulsive in the repulsive. The same concentration by mindfulness of breathing should be closely attended to. If a monk wishes, may I dwell perceiving the repulsive in the unrepulsive and the repulsive. The same concentration by mindfulness of breathing should be closely attended to. If a monk wishes, may I dwell perceiving the unrepulsive in the repulsive and the unrepulsive. The same concentration by mindfulness of breathing should be closely attended to. If a monk wishes, avoiding both the unrepulsive and the repulsive, may I dwell equanimous, mindful and clearly mindful and collected. The same concentration by mindfulness of breathing should be closely attended to. Therefore, monks, if a monk wishes, may I, secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unwholesome states, enter and dwell in the first jhana, which is accompanied by thought directed and sustained, with delight and happiness born of seclusion. The same concentration by mindfulness of breathing should be closely attended to. Therefore, monks, if a monk wishes, may I, with the subsiding of thought directed and sustained, enter and dwell in the second jhana, which has internal confidence and unification of mind, is without thought directed and sustained, and has delight and happiness born of concentration. This same concentration by mindfulness of breathing should be closely attended to. Therefore, monks, if a monk wishes, may I, with the fading away as well of delight, dwell equanimous and mindful and collected, may I experience happiness with the body. May I enter and dwell in the third jhana, of which the noble ones declare, he is equanimous, mindful, one who dwells happily. The same concentration by mindfulness of breathing should be closely attended to. Therefore, monks, if a monk wishes, may I, with the abandoning of pleasure and pain, and with the previous passing away of joy and displeasure, enter and dwell in the fourth jhana, which is neither painful nor pleasant, and includes the purification by mindfulness by equanimity. The same concentration by mindfulness of breathing should be closely attended to. Therefore, monks, if a monk wishes, may I, with the complete transcendence of perceptions of forms, with the passing away of perceptions of sensory impingement, with non-attention to perceptions of diversity, aware that space is infinite, enter and dwell in the base of the infinity of space. The same concentration by mindfulness of breathing should be closely attended to. Therefore, monks, if a monk wishes, may I, by completely transcending the base of the infinity of space, aware that consciousness is infinite, enter and dwell in the base of the infinity of consciousness. The same concentration by mindfulness of breathing should be closely attended to. Therefore, monks, if a monk wishes, may I, by completely transcending the base of the infinity of consciousness, aware that there is nothing, enter and dwell in the base of nothingness. The same concentration by mindfulness of breathing should be closely attended to. Therefore, monks, if a monk wishes, may I, by completely transcending the base of nothingness, enter and dwell in the base of neither perception nor non-perception. The same concentration by mindfulness of breathing should be closely attended to. Therefore, monks, if a monk wishes, may I, by completely transcending the base of neither perception nor non-perception, enter and dwell in the cessation of perception and feeling. The same concentration by mindfulness of breathing should be closely attended to. I'll stop here for a moment. So you see, the Buddha is saying that there's a lot of benefit from practicing mindfulness of breathing. In the beginning, the Buddha says that if a monk wishes to perceive the repulsive in the unrepulsive, or to perceive the unrepulsive in the repulsive, or to perceive the repulsive in the unrepulsive and repulsive, or to perceive the unrepulsive in the repulsive and the unrepulsive, he can, because of this, of the strength of mind that is obtained from this meditation. And then after that, if he wishes, by practicing Anapana-sati, he can attain the 4 Rupa jhanas, the 4 Arupa jhanas, and even up to the highest, which is the cessation of perception and feeling. So in other words, this meditation on the breath can bring you to attain all these states of samadhi, concentration. And I think there's a bit of contradiction with the Visuddhimagga, where it says in the Visuddhimagga that Anapana-sati can only bring you to the 4 jhanas. So that's why it's good to study the suttas and learn the contradictions. When monks, the concentration by mindfulness of breathing has been developed and cultivated in this way. If he feels a pleasant feeling, he understands it is impermanent. He understands it is not held to. He understands it is not delighted in. If he feels a painful feeling, he understands it is impermanent. He understands it is not held to. He understands it is not delighted in. If he feels a neither painful nor pleasant feeling, he understands it is impermanent. He understands it is not held to. He understands it is not delighted in. If he feels a pleasant feeling, he feels it detached. If he feels a painful feeling, he feels it detached. If he feels a neither painful nor pleasant feeling, he feels it detached. When he feels a feeling terminating with the body, he understands. I feel a feeling terminating with the body. When he feels a feeling terminating with life, he understands. I feel a feeling terminating with life. He understands with the breakup of the body, following the exhaustion of life, all that is felt not being delighted in will become cool right here. Just as monks, an oil lamp burns in dependence on the oil and the wick, and with the exhaustion of the oil and the wick, it is extinguished through lack of fuel. So too monks, when a monk feels a feeling terminating with the body or terminating with life, he understands. The breakup of the body following the exhaustion of life, all that is felt not being delighted in will become cool right here. That's the end of the sutta. So this sutta is telling us what we can get from practicing Anapanasati. 54.9. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Vesali in the great wood in the hall with the peaked roof. On that occasion, the Blessed One was giving the monks a talk on foulness in many ways, or speaking in praise of foulness or unattractiveness, or speaking in praise of the development of foulness meditation. Stop here for a moment. When the Buddha first gathered his disciples, he taught them this meditation on the unattractiveness of the body. He taught them to chant the 32 parts of the body and contemplate the body as it really is. Most of us, we don't think of the contents of the body. What we see is only skin deep. As they say, beauty is only skin deep. So the first meditation taught by the Buddha was this foulness or unattractiveness of the body. Then the Blessed One addressed the monks thus: Monks, I wish to go into seclusion for half a month. I should not be approached by anyone except the one who brings me alms food. Yes, Venerable Sir, those monks replied, and no one approached the Blessed One except the one who brought him alms food. Then those monks, thinking the Blessed One was giving a talk on foulness in many ways, or speaking in praise of foulness, or speaking in praise of the development of foulness meditation, dwelt devoted to the development of foulness meditation in its many aspects and factors. Being repelled, humiliated, and disgusted with this body, they sought for an assailant. In one day, 10 monks used the knife, or in one day, 20 or 30 monks used the knife. Stop here for a moment. This, what happened here is also discussed in more detail in the Vinaya books. What happened was among the monks, there was a monk who formerly was a butcher or something. And one of Mara's devas, it seems, influenced him to want to kill the monks. So he asked the monks, who wants to attain liberation from this body, something like that. This foul body, I can help you become liberated from this foul body. So he had this knife which was very sharp. So some monks, after practicing this meditation, they were disgusted with the body and they didn't want to live. So they went to him to take their life. So sometimes in one day he took 10 lives, sometimes 20, sometimes 30. Then when that half month had passed, the Blessed One emerged from seclusion and addressed the Venerable Ananda. Why, Ananda, does the Bhikkhu Sangha look so diminished? Venerable Sir, that is because the Blessed One had given a talk on foulness in many ways, had spoken in praise of foulness, had spoken in praise of the development of foulness meditation. And those monks, thinking the Blessed One was giving a talk on foulness in many ways, or speaking in praise of foulness, or speaking in praise of the development of foulness meditation, dwelt devoted to the development of foulness meditation in its many aspects and factors. Being repelled, humiliated, and disgusted with this body, they sought for an assailant. In one day, 10 monks used the knife, or in one day, 20 or 30 monks used the knife. It would be good, Venerable Sir, if the Blessed One would explain another method so that this Bhikkhu Sangha may be established in final knowledge. And the Buddha said, well then, Ananda, assemble in the attendance hall all the monks who are living in dependence on Vesali. Stop here for a moment. In the Buddha's Vinaya, all the monks who come to a certain town like this Vesali for alms, they are considered one Sangha. Some of them might be staying up in the hills, some of them might be staying in the forest, some of them might be staying in caves and all that. But because all of them come to Vesali for alms, for their food, so in the Vinaya, that's considered one Sangha. And the vicinity of Vesali is the boundary, called the Sima. So originally, the Sima was a huge boundary enclosing all the monks in that area, which is considered to be one Sangha. Later monks, they start to shrink the Sima boundary, shrink until it becomes one building. But that defeats the purpose of the Sima. So nowadays they say, they call it the Sima Hall. But actually, that is not the Sima Hall. That strictly is the Uposatagara. That is the Uposatha Hall for reciting the precepts, for doing Sangha Kamma, official functions of the Sangha. It should be called Uposatagara. But nowadays, even some monks mistake and call it the Sima Hall. It's common nowadays, they call it the Sima Hall. But originally, the Sima was meant to be a big area. Yes, Venerable Sir, the Venerable Ananda replied, and he assembled in the attendance hall all the monks who were living in dependence on Vesali, as many as there were. Then he approached the Blessed One and said to him, the Bhikkhu Sangha has assembled, Venerable Sir. Let the Blessed One come at his own convenience. Then the Blessed One went to the attendance hall, sat down in the appointed seat, and addressed the monks thus, Monks, this concentration by mindfulness of breathing, when developed and cultivated, is peaceful and sublime, an ambrosial pleasant dwelling, and it disperses and quells right on the spot evil unwholesome states whenever they arise. Just as monks in the last month of the hot season, when a mass of dust and dirt has swirled up, a great rain cloud out of season disperses it and quells it on the spot. So too, concentration by mindfulness of breathing, when developed and cultivated, is peaceful and sublime, an ambrosial pleasant dwelling, and it disperses and quells on the spot evil unwholesome states whenever they arise. And how is this so? Here monks, a monk having gone to the forest, to the foot of a tree, or to an empty hut, sits down, having folded his legs crosswise, straightened his body, and set up mindfulness in front of him. Just mindful, he breathes in. Mindful, he breathes out. The rest of it is like in the first sutta. Breathing in long, he knows I breathe in long. Or breathing out long, he knows I breathe out long. Breathing in short, he knows I breathe in short. Or breathing out short, he knows I breathe out short. Etc. Like in the first sutta 54.1. It is in this way, monks, that concentration by mindfulness of breathing is developed and cultivated so that it is peaceful and sublime, an ambrosial pleasant dwelling, and it disperses and quells on the spot evil unwholesome states whenever they arise. So that's the end of the sutta. So because quite a number of monks committed suicide, the Venerable Ananda asked the Buddha to teach another meditation object. And so the Buddha taught this Anapana-sati. And the Buddha also informed the monks that before he was enlightened, he practiced Anapana-sati. And in some other suttas, he also said, after enlightenment, he also generally spends his time in the meditation of the breath, mindfulness of the breath. So the question arises, if the Buddha himself practiced Anapana-sati, why did he teach the meditation on the 32 parts of the body? Something that he did not practice. So I also thought about this, then I think that it's because when the Buddha wants to teach, he would have contemplated what the past Buddhas taught. So when he contemplated the past Buddhas, probably he found that most of the past Buddhas, or maybe all of them, taught this meditation on the unattractiveness of the body, foulness of the body. And so he probably, because of that, he taught this meditation. So these are the two main meditations that the Buddha disciples learned from the Buddha. There are a few others like the kasinas, which were popular even among external ascetics, and metta meditation. But in the Buddha's discourses, metta meditation is to be practiced after you attain the jhanas. The next sutta is 54.10. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Kimbila in the bamboo grove. There the Blessed One addressed the Venerable Kimbila thus: "How is it now, Kimbila, that concentration by mindfulness of breathing is developed and cultivated so that it is of great fruit and benefit?" When this was said, the Venerable Kimbila was silent. A second time, a third time, the Blessed One addressed the Venerable Kimbila: "How is it now, Kimbila, that concentration by mindfulness of breathing is developed and cultivated so that it is of great fruit and benefit?" A third time the Venerable Kimbila was silent. When this happened, the Venerable Ananda said to the Blessed One: "Now is the time for this, Blessed One. Now is the time for this, Fortunate One. The Blessed One should speak on concentration by mindfulness of breathing. Having heard it from the Blessed One, the monks will remember it." "Well then, Ananda, listen and attend closely. I will speak." "Yes, Venerable Sir," the Venerable Ananda replied. The Blessed One said: "And how, Ananda, is concentration by mindfulness of breathing developed and cultivated so that it is of great fruit and benefit?" "Here, Ananda, a monk, having gone to the forest, to the foot of a tree, or to an empty hut, sits down, having folded his legs crosswise, straightened his body, and set up mindfulness in front of him. Just mindful he breathes in, mindful he breathes out. Similarly, bringing in a long breath, he knows he breathes in a long breath. Breathing out a long breath, he knows he breathes out a long breath, etc. Whenever, Ananda, a monk, when breathing in long, knows I breathe in long, or when breathing out long, knows I breathe out long. When breathing in short, knows I breathe in short, or when breathing out short, knows I breathe out short. When he trains thus, experiencing the whole body, that means the breath body, I will breathe in. When he trains thus, experiencing the whole body, I will breathe out. When he trains thus, tranquilizing the body conditioner, that means the breath, I will breathe in. When he trains thus, tranquilizing the body conditioner, I will breathe out. On that occasion, the monk dwells contemplating the body in the body, ardent, clearly aware, collected, having removed covetousness and grief in regard to the world. For what reason? I call this a certain kind of body, Ananda, that is, breathing in and breathing out. In other words, the breath itself is a kind of body, the breath body. Therefore, Ananda, on that occasion, the monk dwells contemplating the body in the body, ardent, clearly comprehending or aware, collected, having removed covetousness and grief in regard to the world. Whenever, Ananda, a monk trains thus, experiencing delight, I will breathe in. When he trains thus, experiencing delight, I will breathe out. When he trains thus, experiencing happiness, I will breathe in. When he trains thus, experiencing happiness, I will breathe out. When he trains thus, experiencing the mental conditioner, I will breathe in. When he trains thus, experiencing the mental conditioner, I will breathe out. When he trains thus, tranquilizing the mental conditioner, I will breathe in. When he trains thus, tranquilizing the mental conditioner, I will breathe out. On that occasion, the monk dwells contemplating feelings in feelings, ardent, clearly aware, collected, having removed covetousness and grief in regard to the world. For what reason? I call this a certain kind of feeling, Ananda, that is, close attention to breathing in and breathing out. Therefore, Ananda, on that occasion, the monk dwells contemplating feelings in feelings, ardent, clearly aware, collected, having removed covetousness and grief in regard to the world. Whenever, Ananda, a monk trains thus, experiencing the mind, I will breathe in. When he trains thus, experiencing the mind, I will breathe out. When he trains thus, gladdening the mind, I will breathe in. When he trains thus, gladdening the mind, I will breathe out. When he trains thus, concentrating the mind, I will breathe in. When he trains thus, concentrating the mind, I will breathe out. When he trains thus, liberating the mind, I will breathe in. When he trains thus, liberating the mind, I will breathe out. On that occasion, the monk dwells contemplating mind in mind, ardent, clearly aware, collected, having removed covetousness and grief in regard to the world. For what reason? I say, Ananda, that there is no development of concentration by mindfulness of breathing for one who is muddled and who lacks clear comprehension. Therefore, Ananda, on that occasion, the monk dwells contemplating mind in mind, ardent, clearly aware, collected, having removed covetousness and grief in regard to the world. Whenever Ananda, a monk, trains thus, contemplating impermanence, I will breathe in. When he trains thus, contemplating impermanence, I will breathe out. When he trains thus, contemplating fading away, I will breathe in. When he trains thus, contemplating fading away, I will breathe out. When he trains thus, contemplating cessation, I will breathe in. When he trains thus, contemplating cessation, I will breathe out. When he trains thus, contemplating relinquishment, I will breathe in. When he trains thus, contemplating relinquishment, I will breathe out. On that occasion, the monk dwells contemplating Dhamma in Dhamma, ardent, clearly aware, collected, having removed covetousness and grief in regard to the world. Having seen with wisdom the abandoning of covetousness and grief, he is one who looks on closely with equanimity. Therefore, Ananda, on that occasion, the monk dwells contemplating Dhamma in Dhamma, ardent, clearly aware, collected, having removed covetousness and grief in regard to the world. Suppose, Ananda, at the crossroads there is a great mound of soil. If a cart or chariot comes from the east, west, north or south, it would flatten that mound of soil. So too, Ananda, when the monk dwells contemplating the body in the body, feelings in feelings, mind in mind, Dhamma in Dhamma, he flattens evil and wholesome states. That's the end of the sutta. So here basically the Buddha is saying, when you practice Anapana-sati, mindfulness of the breath, you are also practicing sati or satipatthana, because sati is mindfulness directed to only four things, the body, feelings, mind and Dhamma. So the Buddha says, when you practice Anapana-sati, you are also practicing contemplation of these four things, which amounts to sati, right sati. Or if the contemplation is intense, then it becomes satipatthana. So the contemplating of the breath, the Buddha says, is a kind of body. That's why it is called contemplation of body, namely the breath body. And then when you contemplate experiencing the different kinds of feelings, then that is contemplation of feelings. And then when you breathe in and out, and you are aware of the different states of mind, that is also contemplation of mind. And then when you are mindful of your breath, and at the same time you are contemplating impermanence, fading away, cessation, relinquishment, etc., that is also practicing contemplation of Dhamma.